Okay, reverb. Let's turn some dry, boring signals into some lush and beautiful signals. Before we get started, just a quick caveat. I use a send-return style of mixing when it comes to my effects. If you don't know what that means, it doesn't directly apply to this video. You'll still be able to understand how to use reverb. But if you want to know what that means and how to do it, it is absolutely the right way to mix effects. Just leave a comment below and let me know that you don't understand what I'm talking about, and I will definitely make a video for you to explain what that is. But let's dive in. We're going to start here with a snare drum. So this is my snare drum without my reverb. So again, just think it's dry, thin, isolated. It feels a little bit strange. Let's flip this reverb on and see what happens. So again, reverb is the persistence of a signal after that signal has stopped. And what it's doing is it's emulating what it would sound like if that snare drum was in a room and bouncing off the walls. And in this particular scenario, my drum reverb is, I'm using the little plate from Sound Toys. Love this reverb, especially for drums. I use this on drums all the time. And what this is doing, again, is it's just putting the drums that I'm sending to this reverb in a room so they sound natural. And it sounds maybe a little extreme when you listen to it in solo. Here's what it would sound like if it was more. We don't need that much. But let's listen to it in the context of the song. And I'm going to start with reverb bypassed, which means I'm not sending to this reverb. So you can see these sends are grayed out. As soon as I re-engage them, we'll be sending to the reverb and we'll hear the reverb. So let's listen to it first, dry, and listen to how boring and unnatural and weird it feels. Just listening to the snare drum here. Let's listen to that exact same thing with the reverb. So reverb on now. It makes that snare full and pudgier and feel like it's a drum being played in a room as opposed to just a drum with a microphone right here listening to the drum. We don't put our ear directly to the drum. We listen to the drum back in a room. And that's what this reverb is emulating. Let's listen one more time with the reverb out. And we're going to listen to just the drums here. And now reverb in. Lots of reverb, but we're just pulling it back to where it feels like it might feel in a room. Love that reverb. Hey, sorry to interrupt. If you are getting value out of this video, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so that you know every single time I drop a new video. I would really appreciate it. But I'm certain you were doing something super important, so I'm going to let you get back to it. Okay, let's try another example. I have this really cool, he labeled it cowboy lead. I call it the James Bond guitar, though. It sounds like this, no reverb. So it's got the tremolo on it, but again, it's a very dry signal, and I want it to sound kind of spooky and mysterious. So let's listen to it in the mix. Let's turn it up just a little bit so that we can get a better idea of what it sounds like here. Again, I wanted to have that spooky James Bond feel. So here we are sending it to a reverb. I've just enabled that send. Let's listen to what that sounds like now. One more time with the reverb out. And in. Feel that signal come to life and spread out in a room and get just kind of weird and creepy. Reverb isn't just about realism. It's about creating feeling behind some of the signals that you're mixing. And this is a really cool example, I think, of how you can use a reverb to change the way a part feels, which I really enjoy using it for. Last example, let's flip over to our favorite, a vocal. So here we're kind of going for the realism concept. The vocal by itself without the reverb. Oh, this particular reverb, by the way, it's an EMT 140. I almost always run my vocals through this reverb. It's really, really good. I like to use the Lexicon 224 for some songs, but really kind of in more specific scenarios. This is my reverb for vocals probably 90% of the time. So let's check this out. This is the vocal without any reverb. You could say I lost the plot. So no reverb, dry. Again, voices don't sound like that because even as I'm just talking in this room, even though I have sound baffling up, I hear the sound of my voice coming out of my mouth, but also reflecting off of the walls and the ceiling. We're used to hearing signal, in this case, a voice, in the context of a room. But when you sing or when I talk directly into this microphone, it's right in your face and you don't get all of those reflections. So we're using reverb in this scenario to put some of those reflections back. So let's listen to this vocal soloed with reverb. You could say I lost the plot. I've been writing this show for way too long. The story got thin. Here's like a lot of it. Guys win every week. It's the same damn thing again. That also sounds unnatural because, like, when does a voice actually ever sound like that in a room? So let's pull that back and just push some in until it feels like it's natural. You could say I lost so entirely dry. I've been writing this show for way too long. The story got thin like the good guys win every week. It's the same damn thing again and again. They're saying I lost my mind. What? Here, just give a little bit of life to the voice that you don't even necessarily notice or experience as reverb, but is reverb. It just gives it a relaxation or a realism and a bit of a shimmer that is really, really pleasing. So let's, now that we've dialed in the reverb, bring it in and out so that we can hear the difference between dry and reverberated in the context of the mix. You could say I lost the plot. I've been writing so this is with reverb, and now bypass. Whoa, that's gross. Let's put it back. I lost my mind. What changed? What stood the test of time? Well, the Hollywood. That's it. That's a couple examples of how you can use reverb to just make your signals a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more lush, feel a little bit more real and less dry, like they're in a room, like you're listening to the signal in a room. I find this incredibly helpful for just restoring a little bit of realism back into my mixes, and I do this with all of my mixes, and I think you should too. Thank you so much for being here and checking out this video on reverb. If you want to know how to mix a song from start to finish in just 5 simple steps, grab my free 5-step workflow for making a great mix. It's going to teach you the exact same workflow that I use every single time I sit down to mix a song. The download link is in the description below. And one more time, thank you so much for being here. I will see you soon.